In this video, we are going to revise this chapter 5 of NCERT 9 class, the fundamental unit of life. Let's start with reading first para. While examining the thin slice of cork, Robert Hooke saw that a cork resembles the structures of a honeycomb, consisting of many little compartments. Cork is a substance which comes from the bark of a tree. This was in year 1665 when the Hooke change made this chance observation through self-designed microscope. So Robert Hooke called these boxes as a cells. Cell is a Latin word for little room. So it's a fundamental unit of life is a cell, and it was the Robert Hooke who named and coined this term cell. And while he was doing an experiment and observation of a cork, which is a bark of tree, in 1665, he saw something a block like structure this way like honeycomb, which he gave a cell name. So this was the important discovery. What are the living organisms made up of? Living organisms are made up of cells. We are only revising this chapter, so we will be only discussing the important one. So let's see the cell of an onion peel. You can see onion peels are like the hexagonal structure. These are the separate cell, and these dots are the nucleus. Let's talk about the cell more. A cell is first discovered by the Robert Hooke in 1665. It was observed the cell of the cork slice with the help of primitive microscope. Liu Van Hooke in 1674, after 9 years later, with the improved microscope, discovered the free living cell in a pond of water for the first time. So the living cell was the first discovered by the Liu Van Hooke after 9 years of Hooke discovering the cells in a cork slice. Then it was Robert Brown in 1831 who discovered the nucleus of the cell. Protoplasm for a fluid substance of the cell. This was the coined by this. Protoplasm is fluid in the cell. Suppose this is a cell, and whatever inside there will be nucleus, there will be other things also. The whole thing is called protoplasm. And the cell theory that all the plant and animals are composed of cells, and that the cell is the basic unit of life, is represented by the two biologists. These are the names of these biologists. So which happened in 1838 to 39. So they put forward the theory that the cell is the basic unit of life, and all cells existing arise from the pre-existing cells. With the discovery of electron microscope in 1940, it was possible to observe and understand the complex structure of the cell and its various organelles. So complex structure of cells contain various organelles. Cell itself, inside the cell there are many organs also, which are called organelles. We will discuss these organelles in this chapter also. A single cell may constitute a whole organism. So a whole organism can be made of a single cell, such as amoeba. There are some other also. Paramecium and bacteria are unicellular. So these are made up of a single cell. That is why they are called unicellular organisms. Uni means single, and there are other organisms which are made up of multiple cells. They are called multicellular organisms. Multi means many. Some fungi, plants, animals are the examples of these. Only the bacteria and some paramecium, amoeba, and this Chaminidomas, I don't know how to pronounce it, uh, are single cellular, and most of the other, like maybe like 98 and more percent, more than that percent of organisms are made up of multicellular organisms. Every multicellular organism has come from a single cell, and single cells divides into two, and these two divides into four, and this is how the multicellular body forms. Okay, this depicts some cells of the human body. So humans body also multicellular, and in human body there are different types of cells are found. Some are nerve cells which transfer informations. Fat cells stores fat, which is a form of energy. Sperm cell is there, ovum is there. They are reproductory cells. Bone cells made of uh, calcium may be there, and blood cells are there. Red blood cell is there, white blood cell, and muscle cell is there. The muscle cell help in contraction. It contracts and it, so that is why muscle movements happen. So we have a different structure of the cells in human body only. We are not, and mostly animals also. Animal have a similar type of cell also. Similarly, division of labor is also seen within the single cells. In fact, each such cell has got a certain specific components within it known as organelles. Each kind of cells organelles perform a specific functions. So suppose cell it has a nucleus, it has a function of differentiation. It has different components. Some has to generate proteins, some has to generate fat, some has to packaging, and some other thing has to digest non usable items. So inside these organelles there is a division of labor inside a single cell. Structural organization of a cell. We're gonna discuss about cells. There are basically two types of cells, and structural organization of a cell. So what consists of a cell? So now we will be discussing about cell is consist of what. See, every cell has a plasma membrane, nucleus, and cytoplasm. Plasma membrane is the outer layer of a cell. This is called plasma membrane. We will discuss later what plasma membrane do. And there is a nucleus inside every cell, which has a work of division, cell division, and also it has a cytoplasm, and all the other material inside the cell is called cytoplasm. And I have discussed earlier, this is called protoplasm is there. Protoplasm. What is protoplasm? Protoplasm is nucleus plus cytoplasm is called protoplasm. We can say nucleus plus cytoplasm equal to protoplasm. Now, what is a cell membrane or plasma membrane? So, it's different from a cell wall. Cell wall is a different thing, and cell membrane is a different thing. So, cell wall only present in the only plants and bacteria. It is a hard thing, and membrane has a different function. Let's discuss about what is the function of this membrane. We have two different terminology. One is cell membrane and one is cell wall. Cell wall is different from cell membrane. Every cell has a cell membrane, but not every cell have a cell wall. So what is a plasma membrane? This is the outermost covering of a cell that separates the content of a cell from the external environment. The plasma membrane allows and permits the entry and exit of material in and out of the cell. It also prevents movements of some other materials. So it only permits and exits a selective membrane. This is why it is called selectively permeable membrane. So what it permits and what it does not permits. Substance like carbon dioxide, oxygen, which is important for the functioning of the organism, functioning of the whole system inside the cell. Carbon dioxide and oxygen can move across the cell membrane by the process of diffusion. So this is what, and other major things cannot go outside or inside of the cell membrane. So that is why it is selectively permeating some types of molecules, and this is why it is called selectively permeable membrane. And we have studied the process of diffusion in earlier chapter. We saw that there is a spontaneous movement of a substance from a region of a higher concentration to the region where it is low concentration. So diffusion, what is diffusion? Diffusion generally a movement, a simultaneous movement of particles of a substance from a high concentration region to the low concentration region. Suppose in some environment there is a high concentration of the molecule, and here there is a low concentration molecule. So what happens is they randomly moves. They randomly moves. So what ultimately will happen, since there are hardly a few molecules here, only few molecules can go this way, and as there are many molecules here and many molecules has a possibility that many of them, almost half of them, may travel there. So ultimately what happens is they will get equal in both sides. So what, and overall what we can conclude that this is called diffusion, where like the substance movement substance there was a movement of substance from higher concentration, there was a higher concentration, to the area where is low concentration. So this is what happens here. So this is how the carbon dioxide and oxygen enters by diffusion inside the cell through the selectively permeable membrane. Similarly, O2 insert in the cell by the process of diffusion. Thus, diffusion play important role in the gaseous exchange between the cell as well as the cell and its external environment. Water obeys the laws of diffusion. The movement of water molecules, though such a selectively permeable membrane, is called osmosis. Although the concept of osmosis will be studied in chemistry, but it is also there in biology also. Thus, osmosis is the passage of water from a region of a higher water concentration through selectively permeable membrane to the low water concentration till equilibrium is reached. Here in a diffusion, the particles will be randomly moved and until there is a equilibrium in it. Now there is a equal number of molecules in both sides. Some molecule will still go there and here, and some molecules from here will still go there, but they will equally like transfer the molecule, and overall the equilibrium, the number of molecule will be same in both sides. So now we are discussing about some types of mediums. What will happen if you put animal cell or a plant cell into the solution of a sugar and water? So this is also in continuation of the diffusion. from the high concentration to lower concentration. So there could be three types of mediums. If a medium of a cell has a higher water concentration, the outside medium is a high concentration, that definitely by diffusion the water will come inside. The cell will gain water by osmosis. The solution is called hypotonic solution. If the higher water concentration, suppose there is a cell, there is a low water molecules, and around it there is a very high water molecules, and due to the diffusion process, uh, most of the water molecules will travel inside, and thus and that surrounding solution is called hypotonic solution, and it ultimately the cell will be likely to swell up. Now, what kind of be other type of medium? If a medium has exactly the same water concentration, no net movement. There will be movement. Some will go outside and some will come inside, but there will be no net movement because of overall they remain in equilibrium. So this type of concentration will be called this type of medium will be called isotonic solution, and cell will, in this case, as there is no net movement, this the cell will stay same size. Now, third case, what is possible is a medium which has a low concentration of water outside. Suppose there is a cell, this is a cell, and it has a high concentration of a water molecule inside it, and there is hardly any water outside. So what will happen in this case? The net movement of the water molecules will be from inside of the cell to outside. There will be also some molecules which travels from outside to inside, but since the inside molecules are very large than the outside molecule, and then ultimately we will see the more inside molecule can go outside. So the overall, at the result, the most of the molecules which were inside will ultimately go outside because of the diffusion process, and they try to reach equilibrium. They want to in a state where the both outside and inside molecules will be same. So to reach equilibrium, the net movement in the net movement, the inside water molecule will flow out outside. If the medium has a low concentration of water than the cell, meaning that it is a very concentrated solution, the cell will lose water by osmosis. Such solution is known as hypotonic solution. So this solution will be hypotonic solution, and in what will happen in this case, the egg therefore will shrink. Why it will shrink? Because most of the content, which is water molecule, whatever the case may be, will get out from the cell. So definitely the volume uh, will become less, and ultimately the cell will shrink. Thus, the osmosis is a special case of diffusion through the selectively permeable membrane. Now, let us try out activity, following activity. There is some activity where we are doing some experiment with egg. So you can read, which is not important. I have already explained you what will happen. Now, absorption of water by plants' roots is also example of osmosis. Thus, diffusion is important in exchange of a gas and water in the life of plant. So, I tell you one thing: when we breathe, our lungs, uh, when we breathe in our alveoli of our lungs, and there is a blood vessel, and they also exchange carbon dioxide and oxygens. We breathe oxygen and we exhale carbon dioxide. Why? Because suppose this is going to be a like our blood vessel, and these small sacs are alveoli. So they exchange carbon dioxide and CO2 by the process of diffusion. When we inhale, more oxygen is there. We have like in atmosphere 21% oxygen, and as due to the cellular process most of the oxygen is consumed, so our blood will have less than that, about maybe like 16% if I am remembering correctly. So ultimately due to diffusion they will both try to reach equilibrium. So the net movement will be, the oxygen will be from the oxygen will enter from alveoli to our blood vessel. And similarly like in carbon dioxide, in blood, in deoxygenated blood there is around 4% of carbon dioxide, and in natural environment there is 0.3 I think. So there will be they will reach equilibrium due to diffusion. There will be net movement of carbon dioxide from the blood vessel to alveoli. This is how the respiration, not respiration, the exchange of gases happens in lungs. The plasma membrane is fixable and is made up of organic molecules such as lipids and proteins. The plasma membrane is like the outermost layer, which is selectively permeable, is made up of lipids. Lipids means fat molecules and proteins. And endocytosis, the amoeba acquires food through this process. So there is a endocytosis process in the amoeba. The flexibility of a cell membrane also enables the cell to engulf food and other material from the external environment. Such process is called endocytosis. Amoeba acquires food through this process. So what, suppose let me also explain with the, suppose this is amoeba and this is a food. So amoeba, what it will do, it absorbs food like this way, and ultimately this way, and amoeba will finally absorb the food inside it. So due to the flexible cell membrane, so this was happening because of only the flexibility of cell membrane, amoeba can absorb food in this way. So this is called endocytosis. Now let's talk about the cell walls. Plant cell, in addition to the plasma membrane, have a rigid outer covering called cell wall. So animal cell doesn't have a cell wall. It is only the in plant cell and in some bacteria we find a cell wall. The cell wall lies outside of the plasma membrane. Is lied outside. The cell wall, the plant cell wall is mainly composed of cellulose. A cellulose is a complex substance and provides the structural strength to the plant. So the plant body is hard. This is because of this cell wall, and cell wall is made of cellulose. When the living plants lose water through the osmosis, there is a shrinkage or contraction of the content of the cell away from the cell wall. This phenomena is called plasmolysis. Plasmolysis. So there is a cell wall and there is a cell membrane inside it. What will happen if the plant will lose water? So the water is losing, so its volume will decrease. So definitely the cell wall will be there, and rest will be this will be the extra space will there, and this process is called plasmolysis. We observe this phenomena performing the following activity. There is a, this was the similar thing which I already discussed there in due to this was happening due to diffusion, and it has discussed the here there is a example of egg. What will happen egg? Now discuss about the nucleus. Now we are here by discussing about nucleus. What is a nucleus? Nucleus, the main role of the nucleus is division of cell. So nucleus has a double layered covering of nuclear membrane. So I have already discussed that every cell have a cell membrane, but in a cell who is which is a there are two types of cell. One is prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. uh, in the first during the evolution, in a primitive phase of our life history, and the cell was not very complex and it was very simple, in which the cytoplasm and the nucleus was not very much separated, and they were almost like similar. So in that early stage of evolution, the cells were prokaryotic, and the modern cell, which is more evolved, has a eukaryotic, which has the cell wall, which has a cell membrane, and cell organelles inside it also have a cell membrane. And there are also some organelles also which has double layered of cell membrane, which are called organelle membrane. So outside the cell there is a membrane also. It has also membrane, but inside the organelles of eukaryotic cell there is a organelle protecting membranes also we find. So nucleus is a double layered covering called nuclear membrane. The nuclear membrane has a port which allow transfer of material from inside of the nucleus to its outside. Nucleus contains chromosomes and which are visible as rod shaped structure only when the cell is about to divide. So we can see chromosome when the cell is about to divide. Chromosomes are composed of DNA and proteins, and these are the genetic material. In a cell which is not dividing, the DNA is present in a chromatic material, and chromatic material is visible as entangled mass of thread like structure. So chromatin is just like this, and when it divides, it separates. It go this way like XX, and it forms some shapes like chromosome shapes. Its chromatin converts into chromosome at a time of division only. So whenever cell is about to divide, the chromatin material gets organized into chromosomes. So this is chromatin disorganized, and at a time of division it forms the chromosome, a much organized shape. And this chromosome is made of DNA. It is also DNA, but like it is not, DNA is not like more like organized here. In some organisms like bacteria, the nuclear region of a cell may be poorly defined due to the absence of nuclear membrane, as I discussed in a prokaryotic cell. Such uh, such an undefined nuclear region containing only nucleic acid is called nucleoid. Such organism whose cells lack the nuclear membrane are called prokaryotic cells, which I just have explained above. So which doesn't have a nuclear membrane, and it is like nuclear region is containing only nucleic acid, so there is no separate membrane in it. Absence of nuclear membrane is there. So these are called prokaryotic because this was the early time of evolution, when the life was just formed on the earth, about maybe like 4 billion ago, about 3.5 to 4 billion ago. The early evolution of cells, in the early type of cell, these are primitive types of cells. So pro means primitive, and coyote means nucleus. So the organisms with a cell having a nuclear membrane is called eukaryotic. So those organisms which have a nuclear membrane is called eukaryotes. Along with the nuclear membrane, the cell also have a organelles membrane, different organelles also have a membrane. Prokaryotic cells also lack most of the other cytoplasmic organelles present in the eukaryotic. So we will also discuss the difference between prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cells. Now discuss about the cytoplasm. What is cytoplasm? All the fluid material inside a cell except the nucleus is called cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is a fluid contained inside the plasma membrane. It contains mainly specialized cell organisms. Specialized word. Why specialized? Because every cell organisms have a special functions. Some has to do with fat, some has to do with protein, some has to do with packaging, and some has to do with destroying things and digesting. Cell organs are enclosed by cell membrane. In prokaryotics, beside this absence of defined nuclear region, the membrane bound cell organelles are also absent there. On the other hand, the eukaryotic cells have a nuclear membrane as well as the membrane enclosed organelles. Membrane enclosed organelles is there. So eukaryotic cells are more evolved cells, and so they have more specified means the cell organelles who have some specific task, and they are also protected by their membrane enclosed organelles. The significance of membrane can be illustrated with the example of a virus. Virus lacks any membrane. Virus doesn't have any membrane, hence it do not show any characteristics of life until they enters in a living body and use its cell machinery to multiply. So virus is not even a living being. It kind of a code. When it enters into host, the code activates, and the code is for the division. When it enters into a living cell, the codes works there by using that body, and by this code the virus devices divided. So like there is a bifurcation between difference between the prokaryotic and eukaryotic. The size is generally small and size is large. Nuclear region uh, nuclear region well defined. It is not well defined and surrounded by nuclear membrane, and it's surrounded, and that is also, I just forgot what was there. Chromatin. The DNA is not dividing as part of a chromatin. Nucleoid. This is called nucleoid. Such undefined nuclear region is called nucleoid. So this undefined nuclear region is called nucleoid. Chromosome is single, and there are lot of chromosome in the eukaryotic cell. The membrane bound cell organelles is absent, and here is present. Now let's talk about the cell organelles. There are multiple specified cell organelles which are endoplasmic rectum, Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, mitochondria, and platelets. We will discuss their functions uh, hereby. So let us first study about the endoplasmic rectum. So before that, just learn rough with protein, and smooth means smooth as a fat and lipids. So there are two types of ER: rough endoplasmic rectum and smooth endoplasmic rectum. Rough endoplasmic rectum under the microscope has a particle called ribosomes attached on the surface. Suppose this is a endoplasmic rectum ER, and on its surface there is a like something called this thing, and this is why this makes it rough, and these are ribosomes. Ribosomes have a special function. Ribosomes are the site of protein manufacturing. So ribosomes makes protein. And while smooth helps in manufacturing of fat molecules or lipid. Smooth ER makes fat molecules, and rough ER makes protein molecules. Some of these protein and lipids help in building the membrane. Even the cell membrane is made up of these ER organelles. This process is called membrane biogenesis. So, as membrane is making membrane biogenesis, and some other proteins and lipid functions as an enzyme and hormones. Although ER varies greatly in appearance in the cell, they always forms a network system. So this is a pictorial representation of the organelles. This lysosome, mitochondria, ribosome is there. You can see this is a rough ER, and there is a dot structure on the ER. That is why it is a rough, and that dot are the ribosomes, and cytoplasm is this. Smooth is this. Look at the Y shape. This is a smooth, and this makes the fat molecules or lipids. One function of a ER: transport of material, to serve as a channel for a transport of material, especially protein, between the various regions of the cytoplasm or between the cytoplasm and the nucleus. SER, which is a smooth ER, plays crucial role in detoxifying many poisons and drugs also. Smooth also makes fat and lipids, and also has a crucial role in detoxifying many poisonous and drugs. This is an example of a plant cell. This is a nucleus, and nucleus is double membrane, and there are some other organelles which are also double membrane. The chloroplast is also a double membrane, and mitochondria is also a double membrane. Mitochondria, the power of the cell. We will study why it is the powerhouse of the cell in following chapters. Now discuss about the Golgi apparatus. So what is the main function? Its main function is packaging and dispensing. Just material synthesized near the ER, like fats and proteins, are packaged and dispatched to the various targets inside and outside of the cell is through the Golgi apparatus. Its function includes storage, modification, packaging of the products in vesicles. Golgi apparatus also involves in formation of lysosomes. What are lysosomes? We will discuss here. This was the guy who did this discovery. Lysosomes filled with digestive enzymes. These enzymes made by this rough endoplasmic rectum. Lysosomes are kind of a waste disposal system because they contain digestive enzymes. Lysosomes are able to do this because they contain powerful digestive enzyme capable of breaking down the organic materials. They can break down organic materials. And lysosomes may burst, and the enzymes digest their own cell. Therefore, the lysosomes are also known as suicide bags. This is important. Suicide bags. They are suicide bags of a cell. Now talks about mitochondria. There is a curve cycle that happens in mitochondria. This is like ATP productions. So mitochondria is a powerhouse, has a double membrane covering. The energy required for the various channel activity needed for life is released by the mitochondria in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate molecules. This is a molecule. ATP is also known as energy currency. So mitochondria are strange organelles in a sense that they have their own DNA and ribosomes. Therefore, mitochondria is able to make some of their own proteins. So why they have own DNA and own ribosomes? There was a theory in evolution that there were two types of cells, and one type of cell was engulfed by another types of cell, and they are living in symbiosis. I don't go for the spelling. Symbiosis. What is happening in what happens in symbiosis? Both the organism live in like help in they live together inside each other, and they help from each other. So this was the story about the mitochondria. And so there used to be a one cells which enters which was engulfed by the other cell, and they both living in symbiosis, matlab together they are living. And this was the DNA, sorry, this was the mitochondria. So this is why the mitochondria have its own DNA. This is why it is a strange organelles. Now discuss about the uh, plastids. So plastids present only in plant cell. There are two types. One is chromoplast, which gives chromo means color, the color plastids, and leucoplasts, white colorless plastids. Chromoplast containing a pigment called chlorophyll are known as the chromoplast. And chromoplast is important for photosynthesis in plants. Chloroplast also contains various yellow or orange pigments in addition to the chlorophyll. Leucoplasts are primitive organelles in which the materials such as starch, oils, and proteins granules are stored. So platelets are two types. One gives color to the plant and colors, and also helps in photosynthesis. Other types of leucoplasts, which is mostly like storage thing. They are mostly storage body which stores proteins, oils, and starch and fats. Like a mitochondria, platelets is also have their own DNA and ribosomes. Why? Because in might be in evolution, there might be some organism outside, and they enter inside, and they will be living in symbiosis. Vacuoles. Vacuoles are storage sacs for solid or liquid content. Vacuoles are small sized in animals, while in plants they may be like having 50 to 90% of the cell volume. Now here the end of the cell organelles. We have discussed the major cell organelles. Now let's talk about the cell division, and we soon going to finish this chapter. Cell division, there are two types of cell division basically. One is somatic cell, which is called body cell. One is gametes, which is reproductive cell. So what happens? Somatic cells divide into the basic difference is when the somatic cell divides, the chromosome number remains same, and when the reproductive or gamete cell divides, the chromosome number becomes half. And that is why when the sperm or ovum is divided, it forms, it has only the half chromosome, and half opposite sex chromosome mates to make the full chromosome. And the body cell obviously doesn't will evolve in a way that it needs to be evolved like a in reproductive cells. So they reproduce in a way, they divides in a way that they retain the full size of chromosome. The process of cell division in which the most of the cells divides grow is called mitosis. So this way of division is called mitosis. It happens in only body cells, somatic cells. And in this process each cell called mother cell divides into two identical daughter cells. They are identical because they contain the same number of chromosomes. The daughter cell have a same number of chromosomes as a mother. Suppose it has a 46 chromosome, it will also have a 46 chromosomes, body cells. Like how humans have a 46, if my body cell, skin cell have a 46 chromosome, and my skin divides into two sub skin cells, and these baby skin cells will also have 46 chromosome each. A specific cell of reproductive organs or tissue, they are like sperm or egg, ovum in women. Tissue in animals or plants divides in a form of to form gametes, which after fertilization give rise to offsprings. They divide by a different process called mitosis. So when a cell which having a 46 chromosome divides into 33 chromosome daughter baby cell, so this process happens only in reproductive cells, and this division is called meiosis. Meiosis in which involves two consecutive divisions. It has a two consecutive divisions here, and when the cell divides by the meiosis, it produces four new cells instead of just two. The new cell have the half the number of chromosomes than the mother cell. Okay, so this division is also called reduction, since it is reducing the number of chromosomes. So reduction division. Okay, it is a non-reduction division. It has also different name. This is in the, I think in class 11th we will study there. So this happens only in the reproductive cells, and rest of the cells they divides this way. Now let's quickly summarize the whole thing. And the fundamental unit of life is cell. Robert Hooke was discovered in 1665. He discovered and named the cell. The cell is enclosed by the plasma membrane composed of lipids and protein, and lipids and proteins formed in ER, endoplasmic rectum. And cell membrane is an active part of a cell. It regulates the movement of material in order to between the ordered interior of cells and the outer environment by diffusion, by the process of diffusion. Plant cell wall composed of mainly cellulose. Cellulose is located outside of the cell membrane, and cellulose it helps in rigidity and supportive tissue. It supports, and the bark, the tree is hard. Why it is hard? Because of the cellulose, because of cell wall. And the presence of a cell wall enables the cell of the plant and fungi and bacteria exist in hypotonic medium. Why it is hypotonic? Why it can be? Because there cannot be much exchange of solution in material from inside to outside in a cells which has a cell wall. So they will not get diffuse. No, they will not get. There is a word. Plasmolysis. And nucleus in eukaryotic cell is separate from the cytoplasm, and it was not separate in nucleus in eukaryotes. it was not separated in prokaryotic cells. Bacteria is also prokaryotic. Double layered membrane is there in a eukaryotic cell. It directs the life process by cell divisions. ER functions both passes of intercellular transport and the manufacturing surface, manufacturing of proteins and fat. We have discussed about the smooth ER manufactures fat, and rough ER has a ribosomes on the surface, and these ribosomes manufactures proteins. Golgi apparatus, its main function is to packaging function, storage, modification and packaging. And the most plants have a large membranous organelles called plastids, which are two types, chromoplast and leucoplast. Chromoplast color, it gives color, and also its function is also photosynthesis. It also have a chlorophyll in it. And leucoplast is the storage thing, it stores fat and all that, oils and all that. And chromoplast contains chlorophyll and are called chloroplast. They perform photosynthesis. Primary function of the leucoplast is storage. Most matured plant cell have a large central vacuoles that helps maintain the turgidity, hardness. It means hardness in a cell, and stores important substance including the waste. Prokaryotic cells have no membrane-bound organelles. Their chromosomes are composed of only nucleic acid, and they have a very small ribosomes as organelles. Ribosomes which manufacture proteins in organelles. So they are less evolved. So they are less systemized. Cell in organism divides for growth of the body, for replacing dead cell, and forming gametes for reproduction. So this was the end of this chapter, and we have successfully revised it, and thank you for watching this video.